Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. So I went through the whole course, course 3. I summarized each lesson in each module, but I also took some notes, so I'm just gonna go over them. And while I do that, I hope it helps you guys as well. So yeah, just jot notes that I took over the whole course, things that I didn't understand and things that I needed more practice with. So I'm just gonna read out my jot notes and see if they help you guys. If they do, then yeah, sure. If not, then well, I guess this is just for me then. Alright, starting now. Freehold standard. So in freehold standards, you own the unit and the interest in common elements. Freehold common elements, you do not own the units, roads, or community centers. You share an ownership and expense of the common elements. Freehold vacant land, land to contracts. Freehold phased, builders sells units and reserves the right to create more units. Leasehold, you do not own land and you can sell it though. Board of directors oversee the business matters. Board of directors oversee the business matters. Owners elect board of directors. Apartment condos, high-rise buildings 5 stories or more, low-rise buildings 4 stories or less. They do not have an elevator. Exclusive use common elements, so areas of the building to which some owners have access, like patio, balconies, and front yards, enhance enjoyment and value of the adjacent unit. Parking and storage are common elements. Can be exclusive common elements. Details in corporation's declaration. Parking freehold, owner owns this spot and can be sold to another owner. Parking leasehold, condo owns it and leases it to unit owners. Exclusive common elements parking, condo owns and gives a right to use to the owner. So condo fees obligated to pay. You are obligated to pay the full cost. It is non-negotiable. Condo funding, documents and declaration. It becomes legal when a builder registers the declaration and description of the land registry at the land registry office. Description presents plan. Plans includes surveys and drawings, proportions. Each unit pays condo fees. Warranty, it begins on the date of possession, provides protection, protections on deposits, compensation for delays, and 1 and 2 year warranty for the certain defects or in work or materials. 7-year warranty of major structural defects. Warranty common elements covered for lesser amount of $50,000 times the number 50,000 times the number of units or max 2.5 million. Coverage for conversions, 1-year warranty compliance with Ontario Building Code, 2-year warranty for the water penetration and defect in work and material, and then 7-year major defects. Deposit protection, max $20,000. So then there's a 10-day cooling period, which the buyer has the right to cancel the purchase within 10 days. 10 days to reconsider applies to new condos only. Buyer lawyer must provide written notice of cancellation to the declarant within 10 days. Has the right to cancel within 10 days if there are any material changes. And then agreement of purchase and sale. A contract between the condo builder and the buyer contains all terms and conditions. Disclosure agreement drafted by builder includes corporation proposed first-year budget, declaration, bylaws, and use. Interim occupancy, period between occupancy and ownership, ends when condo is registered with land registry office. Statutory requirements of the reserve funds. Solely for major repairs and replacement of common elements. All condos are required to have a reserve fund. A reserve fund shall be used solely for the purpose of major repair and replacement of the common elements and assets of the corporation. The status certificate does not include the full reserve fund study, but rather the notice of a future funding of the reserve fund. Salesperson can be held liable for the additional costs for which the buyer was unprepared. Property management team is responsible for meeting all major decisions regarding the maintenance of the buildings and ground. Decision to increase the maintenance fee to increase the reserve fund must be made by the board of directors. Status certificate, it provides wealth of information about information about the condo corporation management, board of directors, condo units, corporation's financial state, reserve funds, pending legal proceedings, and number of units leased. A condo corporation is required to provide the certificate within 10 calendar days. So a lawyer should review the status certificate to ensure the reserve fund is not underfunded. Occupancy date, date buyer will move in. Builder can set one or more occupancy dates. If the occupancy date cannot be met, a builder can give a 90-day notice to extend up to 120 days. If the unit is delayed beyond this date, a buyer has the right to cancel. To receive compensation, buyer must terminate within 30 days. $150 per day is compensated, max $7,500. Deposit protection under warranty is max $20,000. Compensation is $7,500 for delays in closing. HST and rebate of max $30,000 if the unit is the principal resident. Conditions. Condition precedent. If the condition is not fulfilled, waived, or deleted, no binding contract has been formed. Agreement can be considered binding if you can provide notice of fulfillment or waiver of a condition by amendment agreed by the both seller and buyer. Otherwise, it is null or void. Condition subsequent. Binding contracts unless a specific event occurs. Option to terminate under circumstances. Must notify in writing to terminate, otherwise agreement proceeds. True condition precedent. Condition must be fulfilled, cannot be waived. Okay. Description of a common elements condo differs from that of a standard condo agreement of purchase and sale. A separate description for the real property or parcel of tied land and the common elements. Status certificate only for common elements, not for parcel of tied land. A survey used to confirm details of land description. A notice of fulfillment informs the sellers that the condition has been met and transaction can proceed. Title search usually performed by the buyer's lawyer. The requisition date, deadline by which the buyer's lawyer must submit a list of items to be corrected by the seller's lawyer prior to closing. Seller has an obligation to inform of all major easements. Easements give the right to cross or otherwise use someone else's land for a defined purpose. Restrictive covenant restricts what a property owner can do on their property. Title search clause includes the requisition date and non-title searches. Title clause. Any existing minor easement described or any restrictive covenants or non-negotiable is non-negotiable. Sorry. Okay, maybe I didn't read. I have no idea what I wrote here, so I'm just gonna pretend it's not there. My handwriting is so bad. Oh my god, I can't even read this. Sorry, back to studying. Vacant urban lots and zoning. Confirm zoning designation to ensure the property can be developed according to the buyer's plan. Infill, redevelopment, and severance. Intensity, the use of large lot by subdividing into more lots and constructing a number of homes. Oh, okay. So in full redevelopment and severance is intensity the use of a large lot by subdividing into more lots and constructing a number of homes. Urban lots with a structure and permits. They replace the existing home with a brand new structure, need demolition and building permits. Vacant lots, rural, and impact of surroundings. Farmers have protection from nuisance complaints. Hiring a builder. They must have a provincial warranty program, builder registered, check licensed, builder directory. The legal description is municipal address and detailed info about the home must be included in the contract. Wow, I really can't read my writing, so I apologize for that. So continuing on, once registered on the title, any easement or restrictions run with the land. A list of the standard features and finishes included in the package. Detailed description should be included in an agreement of purchase and sale. Salaried full-time employee builder may hire. They are not registered and can only sell for the builder. And then we're talking about warranty again. So warranty begins on the date of possession. Warranty for the condo begins on the registration of condominium declaration and description. 1 year warranty is free of defects in workmanship and material, home fit for habitation, and meets Ontario Building Code. No major structural defects. 2 year warranty is water penetration, basement / foundation walls, defects in materials and work result in detachment, defects in material affecting windows, doors, or caulking that result in water penetration, violation of building code, defects in electrical, plumbing, heating, and heating systems. And then the 7 year warranty is the major structural defects, failure of a load-bearing part materially and adversely affects the use of a significant portion. Common elements coverage based on formula of $50,000 plus by the number of units, max 2.5 million. Separate warranty begins at the time of registration. Deposit protection is 10% of purchase price, max 100,000. Radon lasts up to 7 years coverage, max $25,000 coverage for septic systems. Not covered in the warranty is the normal wear and tear, improper maintenance, floods, act of God, insects or rodents, personal or property damage. Presence of an easement considered a material fact must be thoroughly investigated and disclosed by the salesperson. Rural Ontario, low population densities, a consent to sever is the most common method of subdividing land. Creating 2 or more new lots or new identities in the land will not likely affect the orderly development. Subdivision approval not required. Okay, sorry, I have no idea. Maybe I wrote it wrong. Subdivision approval. Okay, pretend I didn't say that. Moving on. Planning access provisions. Actual process of approving any request is done by the municipal organization. Private road equals access road. Conservation authorities ensure the conservation, restoration, and responsible management of water, land, and natural habitat. Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry can grant different types of permits, authorizations, and that contain conditions aimed of protecting and recovering species at risk. Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs is responsible for the Farming and Food Production Protection Act. Rural properties may or may not include timber rights, mining, or air rights. These rights may be retained by the Crown or sold to another individual. Moving on. Ontario Building Code requires a sewage and septic system maintenance inspection can be carried out every 5 years. Clauses unique to rural property is wall warranty, septic clause, access clause, dock and boathouse clause, agriculture activities acknowledgement, and WETT, which is a wood energy technology transfer, inspection if necessary if there is a wood burning stove or fireplace. Ministry of Natural Resources, Forestry, they are in Northern Ontario, risk of natural habitat, and have jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction in Northern Ontario. Bill 140 helps multi-generation families living under one roof, helps by looking to make house more affordable. Ontario Building Code sets minimum requirements for multi-unit buildings, independent entrance and exit, fire separation between units, smoke alarms each unit and every story each bedroom, natural light, minimum size windows, and fire separation common areas, unit size and heating systems, electrical work require permit. That was the Ontario Building Code. And then the Ontario Fire Code requirements is fire separation and two means of escape, egress, separate storage rooms, hardwired smoke alarms, sprinklers, fire extinguishers, integrated sprinklers, fire extinguishers, and stairway separation, fire escapes, and emergency lighting. Multi-unit clauses to add inspection of property, retrofit Ontario Fire Code inspection of property, retrofit electrical inspection, and inspection of systems, seller consent for photos and videos. And then there's an environment clause which determines whether requirement laws and regulations have been complied, ensuring all environment laws have been complied with, due diligence to ensure that protected zones are respected. What else? Okay, moving on. Standard lease agreement is a standard lease agreement that applies to most forms of residential residential areas. Okay, maybe I wrote something wrong here. Sorry, standard lease agreement is a standard lease agreement that applies to most forms for residential units. Agreement to lease outlines the terms and conditions to be considered by both parties. Lease is a contract between landlord and tenant. Under common law, a lease can be written or a lease can be written, oral, or implied. Written agreement are preferred. 4 types of tenancies: a fixed term, exclusive possession for a fixed term, periodic tenancy, fixed period but unknown length, month to month, comes to an end through notice of termination. A tenancy at will, no lease, tenant has possession, no rent paid. And tenancy at sufferance, has possession without consent of owner. Accessory dwelling units, legislation refers to a house with an accessory dwelling unit as 2-unit residential property. Landlord entry without notice is for emergency due to pipe leak, tenant agrees, and a care home. Landlord can come to check in. Landlord entry with notice can enter from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if landlord has to clean the unit or he gave the notice of termination. Okay. The board settles issues between landlords and tenants. Landlord salesperson protects landlord's rights, requires proof tenant has met requirements for lease agreement, lease commencement, access to part of the premises. Damage deposits are illegal, so please do not ask. Maintenance of a property is an obligation of the landlord if tenant is being compensated under a side contract. Then mowing the lawn would be an enforceable term. Salesperson representing a landlord must be able to receive the agreement in a timely fashion. Timely fashion? I think that's what I wrote. Okay. If salesperson is unable to do that because they are away, then that salesperson should arrange another salesperson to take receipt and present to the landlord. An agreement to lease sets out important details of agreement between parties in anticipation of writing a formal lease. Standard lease form is a legal document that uses easy-to-understand language to document a lease agreement. Use of this form is a requirement under the Residential Tenancy Act, applies to most form of residential tenancies. Leading practices to qualify a tenant. Complete credit check, follow-up references, require all tenants to fully complete rental application, always require payment in full and typically by a certified check or bank draft. A rent roll. Purpose of a rent roll is to detail rental income producing property for the owner. It details so a rent roll has details, contact information, details of rent deposit, rent set off, responsibilities of the tenant and landlord, rent charges per unit, lease expiry or possible arrears. Understand value and stability if of a rental property, snapshot of rent due to for a period, details about gross rental income. Rent roll is a document that lists tenants, their contracted rents, and their other basic details that landlord can use to determine rental income and support valuation of their rental property, prepared by the property management. And a tenant ledger is a financial tool. It has information about if tenant pays rent on time, whether a tenant has been taken to court, charged for back damages, rent the tenant is paying for a unit, information included amount due, date of payment, description of payment, outstanding balances, and rents received. It also tracks budget and cash flow, eviction for legitimate reasons. A ledger provides evidence of late or non-payments. Gross rental income can be determined by looking at the rent roll. Short-term rental. While building and fire code apply to ultra short-term rentals, the Residential Tenancies Act does not apply. Land lawful rent. You can increase the subject to requirements and limitation of the provincial rental increase. Importance of updating and maintaining a rent roll. It assists sellers and buyers in understanding the value and stability of rental property. Rent roll is a snapshot of rents due for a period, details about gross rental income. So if the demand for a property decreases when the rent rises, fewer people are able to pay the rent. Sorry, let me read that again properly. The demand for a property decreases when the rent rises. It's because fewer people are able to pay high rent, and more people are willing to pay. So the demand for a property increases when the rent falls, and the reason for that is more people are willing to pay lower rent. So demand for a property increases as rent falls. And then a rent will rise when the vacancy rate is low. Low vacancy rate means renters have fewer options and less flexibility, so are willing to pay more. Landlords can be more selective. And then rent will fall when vacancy rate is high. High vacancy rate provides more options for renters to choose from, are willing to negotiate the rent down. Landlords have relatively fewer renters to choose from, so cannot be choosy with tenants nor demand high rents. Okay, how much do I have left? Not too much. Okay, condominium corporations have the right to regulate the use of common elements. Tenants must accept and comply with these regulations when they use the common elements. Under the Residential Tenancy Act, the tenants of apartments and house cannot be restricted from keeping pets unless the pets impair the enjoyment of safety of other tenants. Landlord must bear the cost of unexpected increases, which cannot be directly passed on to the tenant except by increasing rents by the allowable rent increase mandated annually by the government. If landlord fails to pay the fees, then the condominium corporation has the right to demand payment from tenant. Duties of a condominium corporation: property management provider would would typically include drafting the annual budget for board approval, enforcing collection of unpaid common elements, fees, and informing all residents about upcoming maintenance projects affecting individual units and common areas. Other duties include keeping record of leases, ensuring maintenance of common amenities, and preparing monthly financial statements. Okay, so this is basically all I have for my notes. I hope this helped. These are my notes for the whole course that I didn't really get to summarize in the lessons, so I wrote them down. I hope this helped. If it helped, please let me know. Thank you, and good luck on your exam. Thanks. Have a good day.